welcome to the show. This is a solo episode. Sometimes I do these solo episodes, sometimes I do interviews, and I make this something that is fun for me and I want to do. And so I say that right in the beginning, that anything that you're creating, if you're going to actually stay with it and have sustainable success with it, and success defined by I'm going to just keep doing it for a while, make it something fun. You know, if you want to do a 5-minute podcast episode, do a 5-minute podcast episode. If you want to do a 3-hour podcast episode, do a 3-hour podcast episode, or whatever the analogy is for you and what you're creating. If you keep things fun, people are going to sense that. So maybe you sense that, maybe you don't, maybe you're tired of me talking. Anywho, a little bit of my background. I share this podcast, someone who quit a job in 2015 and really needed to figure out how to make a living from sharing my gifts, what my gifts were, how do I go about sharing them, and supporting myself doing that, and sharing meditation, which was a big part of my own transformation. And I share this podcast as someone who's walked that path for the last 9 years and want to give back some of the insights and wisdom that maybe I wish I had earlier on in my journey. And today we are going to discuss quantum leaping. Before we do that, do you know what I love maybe more than life itself? Bone broth. Whether I'm sick, depleted, or I just logged a 10-mile run, a cup of soul-nourishing bone broth brings me back to life. I also pretend to think the collagen is growing my hair back, but that's up for debate. Bone broth may be my favorite drink in the world. Actually, coffee is definitely my favorite drink in the world, and then bone broth. I believe it was Jesus Christ who said, "Man shall not live by bread alone, but by coffee and bone broth," or something like that. Anyway, so I make my bone broth in a crock pot. So I have a rotisserie chicken for dinner. The next day, I take the bones, I throw it in, I throw some salt, some bouillon, pour a bunch of Berkey water. Shout out to those that know what Berkey water is. Put a bunch of Berkey water in there. I fill the pot, turn it on low. It takes 24 hours to cook. Wait, I had salt and pepper and all those things. Turn it on low. It takes 24 hours to cook, and I have bone broth for days. And so, Lou, why are you telling us your love for bone broth on a podcast that's about the art and business of meditation? It's because there's a problem in the spiritual coaching world. People love to promote quantum leaps, especially regarding money. You hear on these podcasts and on websites, join my program and have your first 5-figure month. Take my course and learn the code to infinite wealth. Collapse your money timeline and quantum leap to 6 figures. You know what you can't quantum leap? Bone broth. Sure, you could turn the heat higher, make it faster, and likely get something decent. But in the case of bone broth, the longer and slower the broth cooks, the better it tastes. Business is the same. Taking time to grow your business keeps you humble. The lack of success shows that you are in it for the long game. And remember, on an earlier podcast episode, I talk about the number one rule for making it is to just stay in the game. And just like the bone broth, your success tastes better the longer it takes because you know the effort it took to get there. Slow, juicy growth helps you appreciate the small wins. I started public speaking in 2015. In 2017, that's 2 years, I made my first $125 for a talk. Before that time, I was paying people to talk. I was going to Toastmasters twice a week. I was doing free talks and just trying to get experience. And then a library paid me $125 to go and give a talk, and I did a meditation, and I was elated. Oh my goodness, I was actually getting paid. And I put that $125 check on my wall, literally looked at it every single day. And I sent it so much gratitude. Thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you, universe, for supporting this. I believe in the concept that what you appreciate appreciates. And that $125 check has led to cashing checks up to $11,000. But that $125 still means more to me than any amount I received since. Coaching and meditation are not about getting rich. They are about generosity and service. I have in my Meraki Mastermind, which is a mastermind for meditation teachers and coaches and wellness practitioners who want to make an impact and do it from their heart, do it with integrity. In Meraki Mastermind, I don't make financial promises. It's not about getting your first 10K month, although we would celebrate the heck out of you if you did. It's about doing fulfilling work because the work is fulfilling in itself. It's about enjoying the process of making it because arrival is a myth. It's about recognizing and nourishing the small wins wherever you're at. This past week, a member celebrated her highest day in coaching revenue, which she credits to the mastermind support. No, it wasn't thousands of dollars. It was $225. She was thrilled to experience the tangible impact of creating a new service and grateful that it opened possibilities for her future. If you want me to guarantee that I will help you make $100K in your business, then Meraki Mastermind is not for you. If you want to feel love and expansion emanating from your being because you're tapping into your creative life force and sharing your authentic gifts, then Meraki Mastermind is for you. One of our members said he found his home in Meraki Mastermind, and maybe you will too. And so I share this little story about bone broth and coaching and quantum leaping, first and foremost, to give you the inspiration and encouragement to stay in the game, to slow down and continue to appreciate the small wins, appreciate the $1, the $5 donation, wherever it's coming from. What you appreciate appreciates. That's first and foremost why I'm sharing this podcast episode. The second invitation to you is that if you are looking for a group of meditation teachers and coaches to help you activate that soul life force, share your gifts with the world, and to feel the fulfillment and moments of awe and gratitude, tears of gratitude when you feel connected to your soul and you're doing the thing that you were born to do. If you want to feel that and you want to be supported by a group of people who get you, I want to invite you to join Meraki Mastermind, to send me an email, reach out to me, say you listen to this podcast, express your interests, and we'll have a conversation to see if it lines up for you. You don't need to do it alone. I really wish this was something I had when I was leaning more into this meditation and coaching world. Masterminds have been such a huge impact on my life, as you've heard in my other podcast, The Power of a Mastermind. That will give you a good intro more into where I'm coming from with it. But for now, we start the third cohort now of Meraki Mastermind. And by the way, when I say a cohort, it's not a completely new group. A lot of people are actually staying in the group. And so we invite some new people in, and it's really developing into this really tight-knit group. And so we start 1 week from this podcast airing, May 1st, so about a week and a day. And so I invite you to send me a message. I will say when this podcast airs, the next day I will be heading out on a retreat. So I might not get back to you until that following Monday. And so be patient if that's the case. But just want to invite you in. If this calls to you, if you've been listening to this podcast and you're wanting to go a little deeper with me and be supported with other people, if you want to learn from guest experts and be backed by a community of wellness practitioners, creatives, and coaches like yourself, I think you're gonna really love being a part of this mastermind. So that's my message for today. First, keep sharing your gifts. Remember why you're doing it. Remember your deeper purpose, right? To be a vessel of love, to share your gifts with the world. And then if the mastermind calls to you, send me an email and we'll see if it lines up. Thank you for listening. I will see you next week on our next episode of the Art and Business of Meditation podcast. Love you so much. Thank you.
I'll beat my drum for you. I'll sing my song for you. I'll clap my hands to the beat that transforms into. I'll beat my drum for you. I'll sing my song for you. I'll clap my hands to the beat that transforms into.
The music you heard is a song called Nova by River Roots. Thank you so much for listening.